Hello everyone and welcome to a really wonderful game that was played in 2017, the Grandchester Rapid Paris tournament, Fabiano Caruana versus Wesley, so both of them rated over 2800, and I've actually shown this game on the channel some 6 years ago, but in those days I didn't really use the format I'm using now. I only showed the critical position, and that's pretty much it, one line of the critical position. The video lasted for like 1 minute, maybe 2 minutes. And not a lot was said about it, but I was still figuring out what kind of a format I want to use to show chess to the world. And this is definitely a game that I would really like to redo in its entirety, as it deserves it. It will feature two really awesome pause the video moments for you guys, and yeah, let's check it out. And I mean, those were definitely different times. We had Magnus Carlsen as world classical champion. Fabi won the candidates tournament. He will challenge Magnus in 2018 in London. We only had a glimpse of what the neural networks could do. Chess engines were very much different, and the games grandmasters played were very much different. They were equal to around move 20, whereas nowadays you have even in classical, players surprise each other already as of move 4 or move 5, because nowadays really anything can be played. So yeah, players had, I mean, the world had no idea COVID was coming. The biggest chess channel in the world was Jerry from Chess Network. It was definitely different times. And these are the players of the 2017 Grandchester Rapid Paris tournament. There you have it, from left to right: Magnus Carlsen, Wesley So, Hikaru Nakamura, Fabiano Caruana in the back, Alexander Grishuk, and I believe that's Topalov behind Karyakin. That's Karyakin, Mamedyarov, a freshly shaved Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, and the Frenchman, also the Frenchman Etienne Bacrot. So those were the players, and this is the game from round 1. So let's check it out. You guys will really love the pause the video moments. So come into this one prepared. So let's check it out. Fabi with the white opens with knight to f3. So we start off with a reti, and the Wesley goes for pawn to d5. We have g3, g6, bishop to g2, and bishop to g7, pawn to d4, and knight to f6. We have pawn to c4 and pawn to c6. We have c captures on d5, c captures on d5, and knight to c3. So sort of a King's Indian defense with some Neo-Gruenfeld ideas here. Knight to e4, challenging the knight, also grabbing hold of the center. The knight is a very strong piece here. And queen to b3, just putting pressure on that d5 pawn. So of course knight captures on c3. We have b captures on c3, and now castles kingside. We have knight to d2, attacking the d5 pawn and also preparing pawn to e4. The knight will nicely support the advancement of the e pawn. e6, and now pawn to e4. We have knight to c6, and here comes the new move of the position, pawn to e5, and it is now as of move 12 that this position has never been reached again. And okay, you can see pretty much what's happening here. Fabi put all of his pawns on dark squares. His bishop is a light square bishop, and the other bishop is most likely coming to a3 to help out with control over these dark squares. And okay, Wesley will have to figure out how to get some action for his bishops. For the moment, they are not doing all that much. So that's exactly what he starts with. He plays pawn to b6. He wants to play bishop to e6 and grab hold of this diagonal, preventing Fabi from castling. So of course Fabi castles, bishop to a6, and rook to e1. We have rook to c8, and queen back to d1. We have a rook to e8, and now pawn to a4. We have knight to a5, preparing knight to c4 if needed, but also just putting pressure on that c3 pawn. We have rook to e3, defending, and now queen to d7. So, of course, we are expecting the game to be a little bit sharper than when we have classical chess, as players just don't have that much time to, make plans, so they go for these so-called more obvious threats. Sometimes not so obvious to us mortals, but for them fairly obvious. We have pawn to h4, preparing pawn to h5, and now knight to c4, attacking rook and knight. So of course you trade, knight captures, bishop captures, and now pawn to h5. So Fabi says, all right, the center is pretty fixed, so we're not getting any action in the center, and this wall you've created here is sort of preventing your pieces from helping out the black king. So of course a kingside attack is in order. We have pawn to a5, stopping pawn to a5 from white, and now bishop to a3. Like we've said, the dark square bishop now assumes control over the dark squares, and pawn to b5. Wesley not just idly waiting to see what happens. We have bishop to d6, and now b captures on a4. So it's a temporary pawn sacrifice, but if Fabi wants, he can always take back on a4. But okay, bishop to f1 first. And now Wesley has to decide, does he want to play something like bishop to f8 to get rid of this nasty bishop here, but then once, let's say, Fabi trades, he will just capture on a4, and everything, order is restored. But Wesley says, nope, I'm keeping the pawn. Let's see what you got. Bishop captures on f1. King captures and rook to c4, just adding a defender to the a4 pawn and preparing rook e to c8 to go after the c3 pawn. Fabi plays king g2 and bishop to h6 now. Attacks Fabi's rook on e3, rook to f3, and now rook e to c8, just putting pressure on that c3 pawn, and Fabi defends it in a most peculiar way. Queen to d3. Now, it seems like you could capture on c3, but of course Fabi would very, very gladly give up the queen for the two rooks, and this is not a position you want to play, especially in rapid time format. You have this bishop ready to control the dark squares. The rooks are here to go after the black king. Objectively, it's equal, but with little time on the clock, I would say it's easier to play with white here. To them, probably it's all the same, but he decides not to do that. He goes bishop to g5. Now he probably wants to counter the bishop with something like bishop to e7 and rook to h1. Okay, another move. That rook captures on c3 was not played. Another opportunity for Fabi to introduce one more attacker into the attack. That's why rook to h1, and it also comes with a very nasty trick. And here Wesley really should play rook captures on c3. There's really no other counterplay here, but he goes king to g7, and now Fabi says, all right, let's play pawn to g4, bring more attackers in front of the black king. And now Wesley again should play something like h6 or even rook captures on c3 now, but he played queen to b7. And queen to b7 is such a weird square for the queen, especially in this position, as it allows, the position is now objectively winning for Fabi, but we already said this is a rapid time format, so let's see how it's winning. H captures on g6, we have f captures on g6, and now you're playing white here, you're Fabi, take down a 2800 Wesley. Feel free to pause the video and win the game for white while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on finding this beautiful move. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is rook to f6. Rook to f6, of course, you're probably thinking, well, of course, he's not going to play bishop captures on f6, but you have to play it, otherwise you're lost. Now, the move that sort of was in the works for Wesley for the entire, let's say, last 10 moves, and no longer works here, because if you play rook captures on c3 now, Fabi prepared rook captures on h7, removing the defender of the g6 pawn, and once you capture or you don't, then the queen hangs, just queen captures on g6 check. King h8, queen captures on g5 with rook to h6, not checkmate, but you will have to give up the queen for a rook, and then the position is completely winning. So that's why after this rook to f6 move, Wesley has to take the rook. Bishop captures on f6 check, e captures on f6 with check, and now king to g8. Capturing the pawn does not work. If Wesley captures the pawn, then queen f3 check, and after king to g7, there's bishop to e5 check, and now after king to g8, just queen to f6. And okay, queen to h8 is just unstoppable. Let's say you go rook f8, queen h8 check, king to f7, and now you throw in a nice rook captures on h7 with check, or even better, let's say you go queen captures, king e8, and now just queen captures on b7. You don't need to keep the queen here attacked. So that doesn't work. So that's why Wesley played king to g8, and now Fabi played bishop to e7. This is a miraculous move. This is a move that allows the brilliancy to march forward. But like I said, this was a rapid game. Both of them were low on time, and Fabi did not have enough time to complete his masterpiece, and that is where you guys come in. Here, Wesley played a top engine move. He defended very well. He played rook back to c7, rook 4 back to c7, and now is the move that Fabi missed. Feel free to pause the video and win this game for Fabi while I give you a couple of seconds. Of course, the move is pawn to f7 check. Now, probably this is the first move you guys consider, because okay, you maybe you've considered queen captures on g6 and queen capture and rook captures on h7, because that's how, you know, we are trained to solve chess puzzles that way. First we check captures, then we look for checks, and then we look for let's attack something. And only after all of that fails, even if someone tells you that there's a win in the position, you will look for silent moves that seemingly do nothing, but they're just crushing. And the problem with this f7 check move is that, of course, Fabi checked it, but it's a silent move that comes afterwards that he missed. So, of course, if f7 check, then let's say king captures on f7. Fabi calculates this in 1 second. Of course, he sees rook captures on h7 check, king to e8. Now he sees queen captures on g6 check, king to d7, and now a nice discovery, bishop to c5 check, and that's it. King to c6, queen captures on e6 check, king to b5, queen to e2 check. Only move for the black king is to go back to c6, and now the rook continues the attack. A rook to h6 with check, king to d7, and now a nice rook to d6 checkmate. All of the squares are covered. There's nowhere to go for the black king. So of course, like I said, even if this is a bullet game, Fabi sees this in an instant. He doesn't even have to calculate this. The problem is, what if Wesley doesn't capture? What if he plays king to g7? And here comes the move that Fabi missed, but of course you guys saw when you decided to play pawn to f7, is the silent queen to e3 move, giving up the bishop to continue an unstoppable attack. But even this requires so much calculating. Rook captures on e7, queen to e5 with check, and now what happens if you capture? Well, if you don't capture, let's say king to f8, then it's a matter of queen to h8 check, king captures, and rook captures on h7 checkmate. So there's no not capturing. So king captures on f7 has to be played. Now rook captures on h7 check, king to e8, queen to h8 with check. Only winning move. There are no other winning moves. And after king to d7, now you play rook captures on e7 check. And of course, if captures, then you give a check and you take the black queen. And of course, if king to c6, saying let's just trade queens, now comes another sort of a silent move, queen to h7 or queen to g7 for that matter. And the position is now completely winning. The queen is attacked. Rook captures on e6 comes next. There's nothing you can do. Rook to c7. Rook captures on e6 can be played. King to b5, and now queen captures on g6, and now you are objectively winning. Not just you're up a pawn, but already the black king on b5 can't really survive this. For example, rook captures on c3, queen to b1 with check. If you move the king, you lose the queen, so you're going to have to play rook to b3. Now queen to c2, threatening queen to c5 checkmate, and just not a lot of moves you can do, like queen a7, okay, stops that. Then comes queen to c6 with check, king to b4, and now you're going to capture on d5. Slowly but surely you will suffocate the black king. But you can see that it takes a lot of work, and even though in that position pawn to f7 check is crushing and of course completely winning for white, it's not easy to decide on it in a rapid game. So Fabi missed it. He brought the bishop back. He played bishop to d6, but now it's actually Wesley's position who is that is either winning or very, very close to winning. So here, rook captures on c3 was played, and now queen to e2, and now Wesley goes in for the defense. Queen to f7. How do you continue? Okay, the e6 pawn is defended, pawn to g5, defending on f6. We have pawn to h5, sort of inviting g captures on h6 en passant, but then once he plays the king on h7, you cannot grab your own pawn. This is like a permanent shield for the black king. So after h5, queen to b5 by Fabi, and now pawn to e5. Now Wesley goes for the attack. Bishop captures on e5, we have queen to e6, going after queen to g4. We have rook to h4, and now queen to f5, even giving up the d5 pawn with check, and it looks like you should not be able to do this, but Wesley finds a way. Queen captures on d5 check, even king h8, you don't even care about f7 coming with a discovery. f7 check, king to h7, there are no moves that continue the attack. We have queen to b7, now hoping for a nice discovery with check, but just queen captures on g5 with check. Bishop to g3, and now it'd be great if you could play rook to c2 check, so why not make it a reality? Rook captures on g3 with check, freeing up the second rank. F captures, and now rook to c2 with check. King to f3, queen to f5 with check, king to e3, and rook to c3 check. The king is in the mating net, king to e2, and now queen to d3 with check. King to e1, rook to c1 check, we have king to f2, and now rook to c2 check. And it was in this position that Fabiano Caruana resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. King e1 is met with queen to e2 checkmate, and of course king to g1 is met with queen to d1 checkmate. So a beautiful, beautiful position. The entire attack by Fabi is beautiful, but here in the crucial moment after this rook 4 to c7 move, Fabi missed this pawn to f7 check, and it's really the kind of move you want to have in a tactics book about chess combinations, where it's not just about, I mean, okay, the entire attack, but f7 followed by this silent queen to e3 move, and also the sacrifice of the bishop, really a beautiful attack, and, you know, an unfinished brilliancy, an unfulfilled immortal by Fabi, but you guys were here to help out, and you guys were able to solve it and find all of this. So hopefully you will find such moves in your own games, and you know, just the reality of them actually being there might help you in your own games to think about them, and to consider moves like pawn to f7 check, even maybe not pawn to f7, but in your own games might be some other move followed by a silent move. So if you can get your brain to you know, that level to think about positions that way, you will, you know, no doubt become a really strong player. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I see I've once again activated some sort of a gesture, and the camera is again following me. But yeah, even though I've disabled the camera from following me, I still haven't disabled the gestures, obviously, so the camera stops following me. But I will get there. No worries. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope I did justice to this game. Like I said, one of the first games that I've shown on the channel in this format that I'm still using today. If you're interested in the original video, I will even put a link, first link in the description below, so you can check out what the channel looked like back then. So, you know, give it some love. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Gil Konkavalis, Doc Pensu, Scott Madison, Emir Zečić, and Barry Girl Larking for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all, I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.